Excellent. Welcome to the TADSummit Innovators. We have back Karel. Karel, how are you?
Good. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Jenny, for having me on the show.
Hey, Johnny, how are you?
I'm great. I mean, we got Karel back. He was our second podcast that we did.
Yeah.
And now we've grown, Karel. I don't know if you know this. We've grown to over 19,000 subscribers. I think when you came on, we had 300. So thanks to you, we've got 19,000 subscribers now. But my favorite podcast by far, because the problem that he's trying to solve. And I was actually thinking about you yesterday when we put out our podcast. And I read my transcript. I'm like, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't. So we have the transcripts on the bottom of the podcast. All right, we did a Truth and Telecoms yesterday, Karel, and I'm just reading it. I'm like, it's impossible for anybody to translate me to text.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I'm just like, the abnormal.
You'd be surprised how wrong it gets. And it's always on keyword combinations, But anyway, what we're doing with this one is we're helping Karel out. So he's putting a white paper together because he's got a great proposition. We're just trying to make it short, sweet, and tight. And what we'd like is the TADS community to give him a hand. So what Karel's going to do is go through, explain what's in the white paper, and then we'd ask anybody that's interested to get in touch to help Karel in refining that. I'm also going to reach out to a number of people that I think should be providing their feedback. We're going to target end of next week to basically review. We'll set up a meeting, but also you can just independently just send an email to Karel as well. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet. So Karel, please run through at a high level the white paper and what you've got.
Sure. Thank you, Alan. Well, as you know, we've been working on AI applied to speech and telecom, working on real-time application of AI around voice, really focusing on speech to text at first, but more and more working with a customer, we work on different use cases. And I realized that actually all of that come together into a platform which is more about knowledge management. So I will share some form of a diagram that I've worked on.
Yeah.
And the idea here is that on one side, we have all the knowledge that you can have within a company. It comes from very different parts of your IT system. It can be a lot of application. It can be a lot of text mostly. So that's where most of the players I know are playing.
Yeah.
But actually, there is a lot of knowledge which is actually verbal. It's either recordings or calls that are happening, but it's also simply conversation that you can have an AI with a person to get the knowledge that they have and that you need the company to use in their daily interaction with customer, with employee, etc. So on the right side, that's what I call the knowledge consumption. And again, the most typical thing will be what you see on the bottom, search. Just you ask a question. That's all the chat things that we see.
Yeah.
It can be also documents that are created automatically using all this information. But more and more, it's also interaction. So what we call the call bots, but it's also helping call center employees in their daily job, or giving information within a call to a person.
Yeah.
So what we're trying now to build is this platform that you see in the middle that can integrate all the information that's needed, so you can actually answer the question from the customer.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the vision that we are pushing now for Voxist.
Cool.
And I am trying to. Oh, here it is. I couldn't see the sharing. So I'm back. And we were thinking about how this applies to the market in a context where some of the big players are really going all in. And in particular, if we look at Microsoft, it's kind of like the old saying about nobody has ever been fired for signing with IBM. Now it's probably not IBM anymore; it's Microsoft.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the question that we are trying to answer is, how can you compete as a smaller company based in Europe, in France, against a large corporation like Microsoft in that domain, where they have so much R&D, so much stake with OpenAI, etc. And I still think there is a lot of value that we can bring, because Microsoft, at the end of this, is more of a software producer and a tech provider. And what we are building now is really a service. It's how do you use all that technology to create service for companies. And I was talking about callbot, so I have an example recently of a company we are working with, and we're doing customer support for technical customer support actually. Mm-hmm. And so the idea here is you have a user that call, instead of having a support person on the phone, because most of them they are not available, they are busy. So instead of waiting, you can interact with the AI, and the AI is using both the information that you get from OpenAI and from all the large language model, but also the typical information that you have within the company. Yeah. Because if you ask a typical AI, let's say, how to resolve certain problem, maybe it will just say, oh, reboot your computer and install a new version or something like that. But in a corporate environment, you can't install anything, and rebooting won't help because you don't have administrative rights. So, you need to go towards something that's more specific. So, that's a typical example. Another example that we saw is things around R&D, where, same thing. If you ask a very good LLM something very technical, it might give you an answer that's right, but within your company, you might have a little tweak. You don't put 25, but you put 26 because you discover that makes your equation work better. And the AI is not going to know that if you don't have the internal knowledge. Exactly. So there are a lot of things around that type of question that I think we can help company resolve in a better way, I would say, that a very large corporate. And the other aspect, I think that's very interesting. Right now, you see a lot of platforms that are addressing a piece of the issues. And the vision that we have now is that actually the same knowledge is needed to answer for your customer, for your employees, for your HR department. So if I take an example, so we are working with a company to create knowledge out of their experts. And their idea was use that to teach new hires. But actually, you can also use that same knowledge to test existing employees on the topic. And so, you can have really a 360 around how you can use that knowledge within the company through different ways of using AI. Yeah. And so suddenly it can percolate within the company, and you use that in R&D, in HR, in finance, etc. Yeah. But if you focus only on one vertical, then you have a great chatbot that will work for your HR department, but then you have to work on another solution to do customer care, etc. And so the risk in the long term is that we end up having multiple platforms instead of having a global platform within the company. Yeah. So we are thinking about creating connectors so we can get the data from SAP, Salesforce, from GitHub, but all that data then is accessible to the overall company depending on the use case that they have.
Interesting. Cool. Again, this is all captured in the white paper that you've written.
So hopefully that's what we are trying, and that's why I'd be happy to have people feedback on, can you understand that vision through the white paper? Exactly. Is there a thing that doesn't make sense or that need to be refined? Yeah. And hopefully I'd be happy also because over the years, the TAD community has been really helpful for me to build a Voxist. Yep. So I'm very open to any feedback, not only on the white paper, but really on the idea and the strategy behind it.
Exactly. Yep. Because I love the diagram. That for me, really, I feel captures the essence. And then with your explanation in terms of using real-time intelligence, because you focus on voice for 8 years now, is it, with Voxist?
Yeah, already started at TADSummit 2018.
Yeah, wow. Time flies. 2016, that's right, yeah. Cool. So yeah, so in terms of mechanics then, if you're interested, get in touch with Karel. In the summary blog, I'll include your contact details there. I'll send out the date we'll plan for doing the review, but if you've got feedback you'd like to provide before then please get in touch with Karel. As I mentioned, there are a few people I think need to review this. I know in North America we've got Independence Day, but you can do it next week. So I'll be sending out the white paper to those people as well, so that we can get short, quick, relevant feedback to help Karel create a great piece of content in helping him drive sales for his business, because that's the bottom line. You know, it's all about getting more and more customers across more different verticals to apply this platform in interesting ways.
I think Johnny already has a question.
Go for it, Johnny.
Yeah, no, I like to add things. I think Karel's being really humble, and it's annoying me. He's been doing this for 8 years. You know, I've gotten to know Karel a little. No, yeah. I mean, you're being very humble on what you've built here and the type of customers you've had. So I want the audience to understand that. You know, Karel's been doing this for 8 years. He's so ahead of the curve. You know, you've got the big buzz, the $1 trillion grift, I call it, in AI, because you've got everybody and their mother who's created themselves as an AI company. I think it's a good opportunity for not just the community, for some of the companies that are listening in on us to understand how unique what Karel has created. I mean, look, the customization and how far along Karel is, you really can't put him in a Microsoft bucket or something like that. Yeah. I don't know if you can name any of your customers, but they're quite large that he's been working with. And I think it's a great opportunity for even a lot of companies in the CPaaS space that are confused. I mean, we had Ken Huron a while back on with Strollin, and they're doing some interesting stuff, as I'm sure they'll be commenting on this. But look, you're so far ahead of everybody else as far as where you are. I don't think there's a company in Alan's community or the community of programmable telecommunications and CPaaS and even some of the people that listen to us from the street that they need to focus on this. This is a big part of us at TADSummit. Yeah. We want to see companies succeed. We've got some companies doing great. But, you know, Karel is the, you know, if you open up the dictionary and it's for innovator, Karel's face is there. So this is a guy who's been living it, breathing it, and he's the ultimate innovator. So we're proud of him. Couldn't be a greater guy, but really, guys, pay attention to what's going on here. Pay attention to what you could learn from his many, because before anybody was even, you know, talking about AI, Karel was down there in the weeds. So yeah. I'm just excited for this exercise that you guys are doing, and I'm excited for the continuing growth of Voxist, and just want to see good guys win. But like, I don't think it's about Microsoft or anybody else. It's I think about how you've customized something and are integrating it across in real time, where I don't really see any competitors doing what you're doing. Again, so I just want everybody out there to understand, pay attention to Voxist. Excellent. And we got a lot more coming.
Oh yeah, no, that was great, Johnny. Thank you so much. Karel, anything else you want to add?
So maybe to answer some of what Johnny said. Yeah, we were working with very large corporate. We have a 1,400 company in the fast-moving consumer group goods in the US that we work with. Unfortunately, I can't name them, but and they were, you know, they are the kind of company that they are spending billions, not a billion, millions on OpenAI, Microsoft, etc. And so they decided to work with us because we are resolving things in a way that they didn't see other player. And if you're familiar with the warning RAG, Retrieval-Augmented Generation, which is kind of a buzzword right now in AI, you know, they were telling me the other day, you know, it's funny, Karel, you were doing RAG 2 years ago when the world did not exist. And that's what we started working on with them. And on the other end, you know, when we talk about speech and real time, you know, one of the reasons I funded Voxist was that I was really frustrated by the speech to text solution at that time. And I started with, you know, using off-the-shelf solution from the big guys, let's say. And we built our own solution, and we were still spending a lot of R&D, because even today, as a lot of people think it's a done deal, and we hear often researcher and corporate that say, well, it's a commoditization product now. It's almost for free, but they don't realize how hard it is to use that in production, and how complex it is to have a quality solution in real time for speech to text. And we're still developing, and hopefully we are working on a large grant for the next. We should hear back in the next weeks to build a new platform, a new architecture that can break those barriers. So I think there is still a lot of innovation to do in that field. And AI has been going so fast over the last 2 years, but I don't think it's finished. I think it's going to keep going super fast. 4 years ago, everybody would thought that Google was a winner take all. Now everybody's thinking maybe OpenAI/Microsoft is, but who knows what's going to happen in the next 2 years.
Exactly. No, very good.
Voxist.
Fingers crossed.
Listen, absolutely. You're absolutely found a niche, and you've carved out, because of your advance, head start in what you've done and your passion. There's no question Voxist is going to be here and be a major player. Probably get gobbled up by one of them sooner or later, hopefully for you. But there's no question the industry needs to pay attention, because you're so far ahead of everybody else. And we've had some great companies. We've had Private AI on here. We've had Vapey on here. We've had the guys from SignalWire. And even I'm calling those guys out. Pay attention to what Karel is doing here. And let's get going with this. Let's get the feedback. I love the exercise.
Excellent.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. Nope.
Excellent. So I'll get this out today. I know we've got Independence Day for North America, but for the rest of the world, please, if you want to help Karel, reach out and review the white paper and get feedback for next week. Excellent. Again, thanks so much, guys, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, everybody.
For Johnny, at least, I hope you have a great Independence Day.
Have a great 4th of July.